morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. Your love changes everything. There's something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes every. You turn my morning into dancing. 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 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. Oh, there's something about your love, something about your love changes everything in my body. Oh, something about your love, something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing.
Good morning, Rooted Men. Pastor Tom, Firmly Rooted Ministries, and it's Monday morning here at the office. What an interesting service we had yesterday. Didn't hear about anybody coming and trying to come in to the building yesterday. I hope nobody did, but we had at one point I think we had 109 people or not people but connections to our stream, and multiply that by 2.2, we had over 200 people watching the stream yesterday, being a part of our service. So I'm just glad we have the technology and the ability to do what we did, and I hope all of you stayed safe. Let's say hi to a few people, and then we're going to dig into Judges chapter 11. Steve Drew, good morning. Let's see, get past me. Brian Vlaming, good morning, men. Chuck B, shalom, gentlemen. I'm out there on X. Good morning, Rooted Men. Chris Connolly, good morning. Ken Gooch, good morning, fellow brothers in arms. Eric, good morning. My cousin Dave Donnelly, good morning. Bert Reggiani, good morning. Ken Gooch, great message yesterday. Thank you. Yeah, Aaron was supposed to preach, and then he got a fever, so I started studying the text, and we ended up getting through it, and I think it flowed pretty well. Trying to explain a pretty tough text yesterday in John chapter 6. Steve Jansen, hi everybody. Good morning, Steve. All right, let me pull up this reading. So I gotta present it. So there it is. Boom. All right. You all can see it. There it is. Yes. Okay. Judges chapter 11. Jephthah, the Gileadite, was a mighty warrior. His father was Gilead. His mother, a prostitute. Gilead's wife also bore him sons. And when they were all grown up, they drove Jephthah away. Sounds kind of familiar, right? Abraham and Sarah give birth to Ishmael, and then all of a sudden the promised child does come, and then there's this hatred and anger between the two, and ultimately Ishmael gets sent away. This weird things happen when sin's involved. Weird things happen. There's this ripple effect consequence that sometimes takes place. And so Jephthah, well, he's driven away so that the family can be legitimate. Isn't that great? A great move. Get rid of your illegitimate son so that you can pretend to be legitimate. And the message that you're not going to get any inheritance in our family because you are the son of another woman. The whole family was against him. He's a leader of the Gileads. He's a warrior. And they get rid of him for all the wrong reasons. The way we try to cover up sin and the way that we try to cover up corruption. And it always happens. We jump into something. Satan says, do it. And we do it. And we think there's not going to be any consequences to what we did. And there's always this ripple effect. So Jephthah fled from his brothers and settled in the land of Tob, where a gang of scoundrels gathered around him and followed him. So he basically created a mercenary group, right? Because he's a warrior. So he found some other people. He's a natural leader. And so now he has some others banding with him. But sometime later, when the Ammonites were fighting against Israel, the elders of Gilead went to Jephthah from the land of Tob. Come, they said, be our commander so we can fight the Ammonites. Just realize nobody's talking to God here. Nobody is talking to God. Not Jephthah's parents, not Jephthah's wife, not Jephthah's sons, not even these leaders as they're going back to get Jephthah. Just notice, they're all moving chess pieces, and God's not being talked to or listened to at all. Jephthah says to them, didn't you hate me and drive me from my father's house? Why do you come to me now when you're in trouble? Well, there's a good question. The elders of Gilead said to him, nevertheless, we are turning to you now. Come with us to fight the Ammonites, and you will be head over all of us who live in Gilead. Whoa. Might have been a good idea to talk to God first. Not a whole lot of thought. You got rid of him so that you could clean your slate, and now you're going to make him head over the whole Gilead community. Jephthah answers, suppose you take me back to fight the Ammonites, and the Lord gives them to me. Will I really be your head? Notice he brings up the Lord. So what if I go fight for you and we defeat the Ammonites because the Lord gives them to me? The elders of Gilead said, the Lord is our witness. We will certainly do as you say. So Jephthah went with the elders of Gilead, and the people made him head and commander over them. And he repeated all his words before the Lord in Mizpah. Mizpah, this place where Israel finds itself periodically having to make promises and commitments. We're going to stop here. Not a deep section of scripture, not a whole lot of philosophical and religious stuff to hold on to, but a whole lot of practical things to listen. There are consequences to the things that we do, the things that we say, and the things that we think. And oftentimes there's ripple effects. When we do stupid things, gentlemen, and when we do sin, probably the best thing that we can do is not try to cover it up or send it away, but take it to the cross. It's the only way that it can be permanently dealt with. You keep it in the kingdom of this world and Satan's going to eat you with it. He will eventually eat you with it. You can hide it, he's going to eat you with it. And I'm not immune to any of that either. We got to turn to God. A broken and contrite heart he will never despise. Like David, like Abraham, like Jacob, don't hide behind sin. Just admit it. Just bring it out before the Father. And know, like a prodigal son, you're going to be restored and blessed and set free. All this maneuvering isn't going to work out so well. I'm guessing you're predicting that. But look how far they've degraded. They once had Joshua leading the nation. Joshua going to God first and to the nation second. Joshua dies, and all hell breaks loose. As the Israelites start worshiping other gods, foreign trading, mixed marriages, it's all getting really bad. Now to the point when things are bad, they don't even call on God. They try to maneuver, they try to manage things themselves, and it's always going to be a desperately lost position. Turn to him. Gentlemen, we've got to turn to him. And he will hear our cries. He will go before us. He will bring grace and forgiveness to our situation. All right, I'll leave it at that. Blessings on your day. Make it a firmly rooted day, and may someone see Jesus in us today. Peace.